Hey guys, welcome to Nyonya Cooking. It's time for another kuih recipe. For those of you who do not know, kuih refers to cakes or snacks that are often found in Malaysia, Singapore, or even Indonesia. And it is usually sweet. I have made a few kuih recipes, and if you want to know more about them, head on to nyonyacooking.com for the other kuih recipes. But today, we are going to attempt a kuih recipe that has been requested so many times. You know that you can request recipes on my website, and in this list I've seen Kuih Seri Muka so many times. So here it is. I am going to show you how to prepare Kuih Seri Muka, also known as Kuih Salat. Now let me break this down for you. Kuih, you guys know what it is. Seri means glow, Muka means face. So it's like a glowing face cake. Well, it doesn't make much sense, but I can tell you that it's delicious. It's simple. It may look very difficult, but it's actually very simple to prepare. We are going to look at the ingredients. Now for these ingredients, I've broken them into two different groups. First of all, we will create the bottom layer, which is the white color layer, and it is made out of glutinous rice. So we will need glutinous rice, pandan leaf for aroma, coconut milk, water, and also a pinch of salt. Now when there's coconut milk, a pinch of salt would really help in enhancing the taste. Now the second group of ingredients would be the second layer, which is right on top of this glutinous rice. It is green in color. Of course, you guys know green color in Malaysia always means that there is pandan leaf in it. So pandan leaves, we will need a lot of them for coloring, sugar, coconut milk, corn flour or tapioca flour, rice flour, water, eggs, and again a bit of salt. So we will prepare by steaming the glutinous rice first, the ingredients in group 1. You can't really see it, but the glutinous rice now is quite soft, and that really helps to shorten the time in the steaming process. Place the glutinous rice in a bowl or a plate. Be very careful, because if you have soaked the glutinous rice, it is pretty soft, then it might break. And then add salt to coconut milk, and also a bit of water. And all you need to do now is just pour it around. The coconut milk is slightly thick, and therefore we need water to sort of dilute it. Now, the taste of coconut milk is of course delicious, but we wouldn't want the coconut milk to be too thick, and then it would not be that nice. It might be a bit too much on the coconut flavor. So we just want a hint of it. And it's totally fine that you see a bit of water, because as the glutinous rice steams, it will soak up the water. Once you have everything mixed up, remember to add aroma, and that's where pandan leaves would be a key ingredient. So just place it in the middle, let it get covered with a bit of rice, and then we will steam it in this pan. So here I have a bit of water that is about to boil. And then I'm going to place this plate directly into the pan, and we're going to let it steam until the rice cooks. While the bottom layer is cooking, we are going to prepare the second layer. And first of all, we're going to create pandan leaves extract. So here I have the pandan leaves. What we're going to do is to cut them into smaller pieces and then blend it. So the process is very similar to what I did in the kaya video or the coconut jam. So if you want to see how it's done for kaya, you can check out the video. The link will be in the description box or in the website right below. Just scroll down and you'll see the kaya recipe as well. So now we have the pandan leaves cut. I will add a bit of water just to ease the blending process. And this time I'm going to use a hand blender. Okay. And now we will need to run it through a sieve to just get the extract. pandan extract is ready, and that means we will mix all the ingredients now to create the second layer. So pandan extract, coconut milk, and then sugar. And as I've mentioned, when there's coconut milk, add a bit of salt, mix well. And that's when we are also going to add rice flour, corn flour or tapioca flour, mix well, and finally the eggs. Now what this is going to turn into is like a custard type cake. So it will be pretty thick, and the thickness will come through from the corn flour or tapioca flour and also the eggs. Let them come all together, and then we know we are good. The mixture for the second layer is done. Now if you like Kuih Salat or Kuih Seri Muka to be really green, you can add extra color or food coloring, but I like to keep it natural, so I think that's enough. You can add more pandan leaves, but not too much, because then it would taste or smell very grassy, if you get what I mean. So, and again, I'm going to run it through the sieve. And remember, low heat, or else it's going to cook the mixture too quickly, and you want to avoid that. Now here's a tip for you. You need to continue stirring for quite a while, say about 5 minutes. The last time what I did was to have the heat too high, and then everything starts to curdle, and by the end of it I got a whole lump of custard pandan thing that really did not work very well, and then it wouldn't look too nice as well. So why we are cooking these mixtures, because we want it to we want to ensure that the moisture in this mixture gets released quickly, because we are going to steam this mixture later on top of the glutinous rice. Now if we don't cook this, it will take a very long time for the mixture to come together into a solid thing like what we see in Kuih Seri Muka. So therefore, low heat and keep stirring. Now after mixing for about 5 to 8 minutes, you realize that it gets slightly more difficult to stir, and also right at the bottom you see chunks like this being created, and that's when you switch the stove off, remove the pot immediately, and continue stirring, ensuring that all these chunks that has been created during the cooking process would now be liquid again. In about 20 minutes, the glutinous rice has already steamed and it has fluffed up. So to check if it's really cooked, all you need to do is just pick a bit of rice and then try tasting it. And you will know if it's really soft, that means it is done. So remove pandan leaves, and we know that the aroma has already been absorbed by the rice. And what we need to do now is just to fluff the rice a little. I'm just going to leave this aside first, because we will take a pan where we will then make our Kuih Seri Muka. So what you need to do is to lay some banana leaves on it so that the kuih will not stick to this pan, or you can also brush with a bit of oil. And then place the steamed glutinous rice into the pan. It may seem a lot, but the next step is really crucial. So once you have a bit of rice in the pan, all you need to do is immediately press it down. And when I mean press, means really press and compact the rice. If you don't do that, you're going to end up with a very loose rice, and the kuih will fall apart when you cut them later. Scoop the rest of the rice. And again, we are going to press or compact the rice. You have to do this, or else you're going to regret later on. This comes with a lot of experience, so I'm telling you, compact the rice. Just to ensure that the rice is evenly compacted, run the spoon, the back of the spoon, quickly. Have a pan that is already boiling some water because we're going to steam this. Give it a quick stir for this pandan mixture. With this pan, which the rice has been already compacted, we are going to pour the mixture into the pan. Water is boiling vigorously over here. I'm going to place the pan carefully. And before I cover with the lid, here I have a bit of aluminium foil. I'm just going to wrap the lid like this. And I will tell you the reason why right at the end of the video. You'll need to steam Kuih Seri Muka for about an hour until everything sets. Now to check, use a stick like this. It's just like cakes, you know, when you bake cakes, you just want to check if it's ready. Have a stick or a toothpick, lightly poke, and it's clean. So as you can see, I poke a few times just to check whether it's ready or not. And now that it is ready, we will remove it from the pan. And this foil here is to ensure that we'll have a sort of smooth surface of the kuih. Without it, you will have droplets of water falling into the kuih, and then it will not be that smooth. Even here you can see a few, and without this layer of protection, it will be even more. Besides using an aluminium foil, what you can also do is to use a cloth and then just wrap the lid. That would also do. I am going to remove it from the pan and leave it aside. I would love to immediately cut it out and show you, but you cannot do that at the moment because you want the kuih to really set, let it cool down to room temperature, and then you can cut it out. It will look very beautiful. If you're going to cut it now, things are going to turn pretty ugly because the kuih hasn't really set, and then once you cut it out, it's going to be really jagged and it's not going to be smooth. So let's leave this aside, have a bit of patience. I'll come back to you with the taste test. Once it has cooled down, then you can cut out a piece to try. And because we have oiled the pan earlier, it surely makes it so much easier to remove it from the pan. And remember to always clean the knife. That also helps to cut the kuih smoothly. Now using this very cute spatula, I'm going to scoop it out very carefully. Once there is an opening here, it's very easy to scoop the rest of the kuih out. That's how it looks like. It's very smooth. The custard is not eggy at all. It has a very smooth taste to it. I love this. So good. It is really smooth, and what really helps was to compact the rice at the beginning of the process. If you do not do that once you cut the kuih, then it will tend to fall apart. Next, the texture of the custard was really smooth. It wasn't too hard or too soft. It's just nice. It should not be the texture of panna cotta, slightly a level harder than panna cotta, and then that is the texture of Kuih Seri Muka. So I hope that you'll give this recipe a try. Remember the tips that I've shared with you, and of course for all the tips you can find them on nyonyacooking.com because the full recipe will be there. Tips and tricks and also other recipes. There's also a free ebook waiting for you there, and you can be also a part of our community by helping us in our work, supporting our work, and that is through Patreon. So head on to patreon.com/nyonyacooking, and there you see behind the scenes and also more on the work that we do to support Nyonya Cooking. And go there and check it out and tell me what you think, and maybe we can produce more content on Patreon as well. So I hope that you like this recipe. Give me a thumbs up while you're here, subscribe to the channel if you have not. Until then, as always, happy cooking!